Hello there. Welcome to the Okanogan Forest Channel. I've had many requests over the last period about the container cabin, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to respond to some of those comments and questions and try to answer some of the most common questions that I've heard from a lot of the comments that I've gotten about my container cabin. Now, I'm not sitting in front of my container. I wish I were today, but I'm not. But I am sitting in front of my hobo stove, and so it's making things kind of warm. It's cold today. The sun out earlier today, but it's all gone behind, and you might be able to hear some background sound from the urban environment pressing in on us. But I've got a lot of comments, and they're good ones. But there's a couple I'd like to just quickly read to you so that you can hear them. The first one is, and I love this one, one of the great things with YouTube is that you'll put something like I have up on YouTube and you don't know what you're going to get. But before you know it, you're hearing from all kinds of people from all over the place, and it's really quite interesting. Ladies, this one begins. This is what men live like without your helping guidance. They sleep on barrels and hang frying pans and geographical maps up like art. And they are perfectly happy. Heck, I'm drooling to live like this myself, away from the cheap plastic social climbing dog crap they call American dream. That's a great one. I love that one. Here's another one. Dear brother, you are someone who has taken the right to survival very seriously. I thank you for sharing your progress. You may never know how many folks you're saving because of the ideas that you plant with these great videos. I love your container and the location. As long as you have water, you will be one happy camper, while the zombies down below kill each other. Do you own the land? Are you going to prep a garden? Well, two things. Yes, I own the land. I have a neighbor not too far away that's not only prepping a garden, but also doing a orchard, trees. And so all of those things are really possible. Now, let me get down to some of the other questions. Glass sliding door on the back. Actually, if you've looked at my videos, you know that there is really no windows. And if I were up there all the time or more often, clearly I would have windows, but I don't at this point. But this is a very good idea. And there's actually two places you could put a sliding glass door. Most containers at the reefer end, and remember I'm talking about reefer containers now, these are the only ones I would even consider because of the insulation. At the reefer end, you can pull that reefer out and you've got a big open spot which would be perfect to put a sliding glass door in and provide perfect ventilation and solve all the problems that people have been asking about. Well, what if you get stuck inside? And here's somebody that really must have a container like mine. He says, make a bulkhead wall about 8 feet in from where your door is. Then you've got a kind of a porch. And you can put a steel door in there and a window, and you have light and ventilation and so on and so forth. And that's absolutely right. And somebody else says 2 screens or a glass door. Yeah, that's what you'd want so that you can open up the 2 exterior doors, and then you've got an inner door there. And that makes a place so that in the wintertime, when it's snowing, cold, you've got wet clothing, you take it all off right there, and then you go through the door to the... And after all, it's a 40-foot reefer container, so that still gives you plenty of space. Somebody else asked about skylights. Why don't I put skylights in? There is a round skylight. They make 2 sizes, a smaller one and a bigger one, which would be perfect for this. And it would also provide light without having a whole lot of security issues with the bigger window. Money, in my case at the moment, I don't have the money to spend on it. And 2, I still have issues with wanting to keep the roof completely intact so that it does not, so it doesn't leak, which will get me to some questions a little bit later concerning the stovepipe. And then I had a lot of questions about, well, how do you feel when you close the door? Is it claustrophobic? Can you breathe? And some of the comments are very good, but in fact, I'll tell you a secret. Whenever I've stayed up there, I've always thought of my container cabin kind of like a tin tent. I never close the door. I put up a flap, canvas flap or a plastic flap, and I pretty much always leave the door open. And that's even true in the videos that you saw where I said it was 16 degrees the morning we got up. Because with the stove going inside the container cabin, it's so warm that even if you leave the door open, and we left probably 1.5 foot by 4 feet space completely open, we were still warm enough and happy in there. So I don't usually close the door, and one suggestion was bolting the doors so that you don't get stuck in there. That's very good. Somebody asked about a radio. This is totally off the grid. I don't have electricity, no television, no telephone. So, what do? I do have a radio. And in fact, I throw a wire up in the tree, and I happen to speak Chinese, and so I can listen to Chinese radio programs all the way from Asia right there at my container. Of course, get all the other choices too. I can get Canada and United States and Europe. So there's plenty of news if that's what you want. Somebody suggested that I hang a shotgun above the stove. Good idea. Might be a little warm. And here's one that a comment or a question that I thought also was very, very good. Do you have a CO2 sensor inside? And the answer is no, I don't. And since this is off the grid, if you have a suggestion on what you think would be a good CO2 sensor, then please tell me. How do you open the door from the inside? You don't. I've already answered that question. What's the lowest temperature you've been at up there at that 4,000 feet in your container? Down to single digits. Down to single digits. And it's cold outside. But inside you're warm. Ventilation. There have been a lot of questions about ventilation. Can you breathe? Is there bad air? All of these reefers, you open the main doors, and then back where the refrigerator unit is, there's also ventilation. There's airflow through there. So if one end is open, you do get cross ventilation, and that helps. So I've never really had a problem. Somebody asked, well, what do you do when it snows so much you can't get the door open? Well, the simple question is, you get a shovel. Never had the